I've been playing Pavlov for 1 year now. I'm making this documentary to clear up some things and help people understand the things I've gone through. From start to finish, I'll go over things such as major events, my thoughts during certain times, and everything to do with myself on a chronological scale from day 1 to day 365. Also, you get to see my editing skills improve over time as you watch the video. I hope you enjoy. Before I start talking about my comp experience, I want to talk about what I did before getting into League. Around July of 2020, during quarantine, my little brother got a Quest 1 for his birthday. After about a week, he stopped playing with it, so I decided to take a shot at it, and it was fun. I grinded out some of the popular single-player titles like Beat Saber, Super Hot, and Job Simulator. After about a month, I wanted to try an FPS game, and saw Onward sitting up in the Oculus store. So I made the mistake of buying Onward, which at the time wasn't really a mistake because I didn't care about the comp side or polish of VR games. I just wanted to play something with guns, to shoot people, in-game, with my hands. After enjoying Onward for 6 months and becoming really good at it, I started switching over to some more social games because at the time I had got my own Quest 2, my sister got a Quest 2, so I could enjoy playing games like VR Chat, Gorilla Tag, and Rec Room with all my siblings, which is what I did for the next 8 months leading up to me downloading Pavlov Shack. Around November of 2021, I came up on a YouTube video showing how to get Pavlov for the Quest, and I figured out that Pavlov wasn't just for PC only. So I got it, played it, and I loved it. I grinded it for hours a day. For 3 months straight, I played custom modes, zombies mods, becoming a god in S&D lobby. So I thought at the time. I did everything, until after about 3 months, I finally made the decision to join the Pavlov Champions League Discord, a server I'd been told to join for a while because of my skill in pub lobbies, but I neglected joining it because I just didn't think it was worth the time. I didn't think it was anything special. And on February 23rd, 2022, I got bored enough of pub stomping that I finally decided to check it out. Starting February 23rd was the biggest mistake of my entire Pavlov career. On just the first day, I had managed to spark up the worst possible act that could be done to a reputation: arrogance. Some of the players in PCL I had recognized from pub lobbies, and I had called them out for being not so good compared to myself. I was told League players were on a different level than pub players, but they proved to me that they weren't so good when I fought them in pub lobbies. I simply did better than them. The community did not take my words lightly. I got told that they weren't showing their real skill because they were playing in a pub lobby. I was then told to play pickups, an unranked matchmaking system where the teams are made by the players and a map is picked by the captain. This is where everything proceeded to go absolutely wrong, all downhill from here. Many pub players came into League thinking they're the best and get humbled by doing bad in pickups. That never happened to me. Being a recruit and proceeding to get a positive KD for my first pickup, and then the next pickup, and then the next one after, and I never did bad. I never got humbled. I grew arrogant, building an ego against those who said I'd perform bad. I felt the need to defend myself and show strength because I had nobody else to defend me. I admit I wish I never made these mistakes and that I could have just had a normal League experience instead of becoming one of the most controversial and hated members in PCL history. And I'm also embarrassed to share most of this stuff, but this is the history, and this is a documentary, so no hiding stuff for me. Starting off on my first game, it was a simple pickup on Dust 2. Finishing 16-15, I realized then I had something spark inside me. I wanted to be the best Pavlov Shack player in the world. I wanted to go the extra mile and practice every day to become number one, to become the champion. I was hooked onto Comp Pavlov immediately. The next game I played was a game of Santorini, and I thought it was just a normal game. But little did I know my 4 teammates were all members of Deathwish, the current best team in PCL at the time. I didn't think much of the fact that they were on my team, nor did any of it really matter at the time. It was just a normal pickup. But after that match came my third pickup, also referred to as the Mirage incident, where everything for me had started going really bad. I had made the mistake of deciding to try an IGL, which at the time I was not fit for as a new player. I was used to IGLing pub lobbies and telling little Timmy where to go and how to play the game, but telling experienced players what to do. was a very big mistake. As a new player, it did not go well. One of the players on my team, Yippee, had been calling me out all game for my annoyance. Combining with my past actions and the arrogance from before, people are already starting to get annoyed with me. And instead of saying sorry, I tried to defend myself. Yet again, alone with nobody to back me up. Just digging a deeper and deeper hole into hatred.
My fourth pickup was a game of Harbor, but I had the Season 1 MVP on my team, Diligent. I was told he was the best and I should look up to him to see how a real player performs. Not much happened other than winning the match.
3 days after joining, I made another big mistake. I decided to write an ironic paragraph on how men are better than women at Pavlov, just for a few laughs. Having been used to being around a group of friends who would laugh at that kind of joke, I was used to making more edgy jokes, but the players of PCL, they did not let that slide. This led to a 1-week mute, my first of many. 11 days later, on March the 9th, I made my next big mistake. I said this. Regretfully, I wish I had also never said this. And only a few weeks after this incident did I reach my first end. Another 10 days later, on March 21st, I joined a pickup while I had a cooldown. Mistakenly, I thought having a cooldown meant you couldn't queue up for a game, not join one if the code was leaked, which it was. Even more mistakenly, I was told in game that it was fine for me to be there, and I wasn't going to get banned for it, which I found out soon enough was not true.
Before I start with Chapter 2, let me introduce you to two special characters in the story, Digital Wraith and the Video Boy, the two league managers in PCL who had the most to do with my punishments. Digital Wraith runs the bots, order of team matchups, etc., and Vid was more of a community manager. My first ban was given out by Digi, but later the two LMs would fight for wanting me banned and unbanned, but those stories will come later. A day after my first ban, I had the bright idea to create an alt account to continue playing. By the name of Dimitro, with a Team Fortress 2 spy profile picture, just a few days after my ban, I went in and started playing pickups again. I made a few mistakes though. I didn't mask my voice well, didn't change the way I acted enough, and didn't have an Oculus name in game. All that evidence led to my ban after a single day. But my determination to become the best was not broken. Coming back on March 25th with another alt account by the name of Verbottensway. I played a few games for the day and actually got a scrim in with Divine, but after the day ended, I was found out and banned yet again. Being banned on March 26th. With no patience, I got right back to it, making another alt account, this time by the name of Felix, and proceeded to play pickups on the same day Verbotten got banned. This account lasted quite a while. The account was hidden quite well, I had changed my voice enough, no other traces. But I gave it away on April 4th. I played a pickup, joining the game and being the only one there, I thought nothing of it, until I checked the scoreboard and saw Quenz had joined my game. And then I looked at the name of the scoreboard. I realized I had accidentally joined with my main account, Codiak. I left as quickly as possible before Quenz could notice and rejoined on Felix, but it was too late. Quenz already saw and quickly deduced Felix was me. This was bad, but what was even worse was League Manager Digital Wraith was in the game, the manager who handed out my first ban. Digital gave Quenz a choice, if I should or shouldn't be banned. Quenz said, I don't know, and it was left there. The weird part is, I was allowed to stay. Digital let it slide. Even after I ban evaded, I couldn't understand why, but... Continuing my days as Felix, I was allowed to stay, but under a specific rule set. I was not allowed to talk in PCL or do anything else stupid, same things I did on my main account. Comes April 9th, I'm yet again banned. With no time to waste, on the 10th of April, I returned, again. With my determination unbroken, I said this was the time things went right. Cypher, the name of the next alt account, would stay in PCL for a few months to come. This account for sure lasted the longest out of any, not being found out for a long time. The only thing people had was a suspicion for a good while. That suspicion was not long. On my fourth pickup with Cypher, it's one of the most revolutionary parts of my career. It was a pickup versus Deathwish. During the time, fighting a Deathwish stack was one of the most exciting things you could do in pickups. One of the most exciting things you could do as a recruit. But winning against a Deathwish stack, that was the hard part, the fun part. During this pickup, our team won. I even top fragged against Deathwish. Having tried so hard to push the limits of myself as a player, to beat such a prestigious team, I was ecstatic once we won. Only now do I realize the insignificance of such a useless win. But for someone who had only been playing for 2 months to do that well, it was the recruit's dream to play like that against such a good team. Come the following weeks, nothing really happened. My ability to get on a team was taken and then returned by Vid and Digi, respectively. I got a cooldown or two and had a couple of good matches, watched the Season 2 finals, until May 22nd, about a month after Cypher had joined. I decided to make another alt account by the name of Argon. This alt account had no purpose of being made. Cypher was alive and breathing just fine. I just felt like I needed to reset my reputation, and to leave the name of Codiak behind, but not dead, so people would never suspect Argon was me. Fortunately, I never got to live my free life on another account, without anyone bothering me or hating me. I gave myself away doing the same mistakes I've been doing in the past 3 months. My ego. While on pickup with Apache, my then rival at the time, I decided to do what I usually do and one-up him, which I did. But out of suspicion of how good I was for being a recruit, he ended up getting his captain at the time, who was Digital Wraith, to then ban Argon. Nothing happened for weeks after that. I was still on my agreement that if I don't talk in the server, I won't get banned, and Cypher stayed alive until June 11th. June 11th. With the way that last chapter ended, it may sound like I just continued the cycle and got banned again. But the cycle finally broke. After making an agreement with Digital Wraith, my main account was unbanned. The name of Codiak returned. Even after breaking countless rules, I was somehow allowed back. But I accepted it. I spent a long time wondering how and why I was unbanned, but best not question it and just accept it for what it is. Following my return, I had a good amount of things to deal with, but my return was mostly welcomed by PCL. The following weeks, I simply played pickups until the off-season began. I then joined my first team, a team built off of some of the best recruits and some OG players. The first 5 were me, Yankee, Ashton, Chalk, and Bruvy. The 5 of us became close friends very quick. The only reason I got on that team in the first place was because of Yankee. Yankee's game night server, where we played games like Jackbox Party games, Gartic Telephone, and Scribble. The entire game night server in general actually helped me boost my reputation with a lot of people, making me less hated. While on Nova, our team strived to become gold, doing multiple challenges with other teams for ELO, along with scrims to practice our skills, one of the most notable being the one with Scooby Snacks, which we won 2-1. One of our bigger games was against Voltage. It was a very controversial game involving the usage of knife cross maps, which unfortunately we lost, though we did gain ELO from it due to Voltage being so high up on the ELO board. As the off-season continued and days went by, a certain player showed some interest in me. A player mentioned earlier by the name of Diligent. Diligent saw something in me, something I think he saw in himself as a player. He knew I had the drive to be the best and the determination to do so. August 3rd, I was invited to join Deathwish in a scrim against Pog Squad. Deathwish at the time had most likely signed me off as someone not fit for the team, but they were in need of 2 players. So, Diligent decided I might be a good fit. Diligent saw the other side of me. Maybe I wasn't Ring, just a tryout in disguise, but I had no idea at the time. We played 2 maps, Cache and Mirage. I performed far above the expectations that Deathwish had of me, going even as far as saying I had flipped a switch when playing in a competitive scene with comms. Now that I think of it, it's sad this had to happen. If I had just been a normal person, controlled myself, I could have been on Deathwish many months later. or maybe even another good team, but I didn't care. Now was the time to put my practice to work. I'd practiced hours on end, watching high-level gameplay. All the time I spent analyzing games, practicing my aim, I finally got to put that stuff to work and leave my reputation behind for once. During those games, I didn't focus on my kills, I didn't play lazily. It was some of the most fun I had playing Pavlov League. I felt accepted for once, like I had a bunch of friends with me. Continued scrimming with Deathwish for the next few weeks, going against Voltage, Pog Squad, and a team of ringers. Things stayed like this until August 9th.
Upon scrimming multiple times with Deathwish, it seemed that they had believed in me. While I'm coming home from school, I'm sitting on my bus, expecting nothing, until I look at my phone and see a notification on Discord, a friend request, and it was from Dynamite, the co-captain of Deathwish. I was confused on what this could mean. I knew what it meant, but I just didn't believe it. I tried to think he was just trying to add me to organize some scrims or something, because such a goal as joining Deathwish was just unreachable in my eyes. Impossible. Until he added me to a group chat with Echo, the captain of Deathwish. Seconds went by as I saw Echo typing. I knew what was happening. He took his time writing quite the essay. When it was done, I read it, and it was an invitation to join Deathwish. As long as I promised to stay out of trouble, my reputation was nice, and I behaved myself. I was ecstatic when nobody else would take me because of the reputation I'd attained. The best team, they saw through all the hate and mistakes, that I was just another player. The community was shocked, of course, to see me join Deathwish, and I have no one else to thank than Diligent. The champion himself, who believed in me, when not a single other team would give me a chance. They did. Upon joining the team, I was welcomed by everyone and given a fresh start. I talked in VC a bit with Yellow Hat about league stuff, and the day ended there. For the next 3 or so weeks, it was the best time in League I had had in any sort of time period. I finally got to be where I wanted. Everyone on Deathwish was far friendlier than I thought. We would often play walkabout mini golf every couple of nights, have scrims every so often. I was living the dream with them. I was practicing a ton too, until my first big game. On August 14th was a scrim against Vibloom, our rival team. Unfortunately, we had lost the scrim, a big upset. But even worse was my performance. I got crushed. That was the first high-level scrim or any type of high-level game I've ever played, and it was hard. So knowing I wasn't ready, I started practicing even harder than I have before, and getting ready for the season start and our first game against Argent. I spent time looking around maps for powerful spots to use, trying to get my aim up to be the best there is, etc. But through all my happiness and hope for an amazing future, it seemed like fate that things were destined to never go well for me. August 27th, the biggest mistake in League I have ever made to this day. Everything bad you've heard about me in this video pales in comparison to what's about to happen next. In preparation to play for my match against Argent, I was finding a bunch of cool wallbangs and peaks to use for the game. I found a good spot on Vertigo. I went behind a railing on A for pistol round and shot through a transparent wall with a deagle, because the railings are penetrable to high caliber weapons, meaning on pistol round, the enemy couldn't kill me with their Glocks, 1911s, and Tech 9s. The problem is, the spot wasn't legal. And an even bigger problem was the creator of the map, that Elijah, was against us that game. This was bad. The worst first game ever played by anyone. It didn't even cross my mind that what I was doing was against the rules. I just was so focused on impressing Deathwish with how good I've gotten, how much practice I've put in the game. How much of a fool could I have been? And it didn't stop there. After replaying the match, I played a few pickups the same day. Now I had been in hot water already for high glitching on certain maps for advantages, but on August 29th, I played a game on Drizzle where I was blatantly high glitching. My Oculus had bugged out and set me to 8 foot tall. I could see over boxes that shouldn't be seen over, etc. I try to get people to know it wasn't on purpose, but how do I prove that? Record myself setting my floor boundary? I couldn't record doing that. My reputation has already been floored. The people against me would only believe the bad stuff and none of the good stuff. I got a cooldown for 60 days. The most anyone has gotten that wasn't a permanent one. I was stuck. Nobody would believe me. I couldn't prove anything. Everybody thought I was just a cheater. So this coincidence of bad events led to my removal from Deathwish a day later, on the 13th of August. On that same day, I had nothing. I had lost everything that day. I spent the last months working for so much, only for it to just get thrown away. Those short happy moments I had on Deathwish turned to nothing, but a longer time to spend in sadness and solitude yet again. But that's not to say it all ends there. There's some hope. Echo told me he wanted me to better myself as a person in these next 60 days, and he would add me back to the team once I did. So I told him I would. I promised him. I promised I would be better. Starting day one, I left PCL and decided this was the day I'd finally become the champion. I wanted to go further than any other player. I started with 1,000 deathmatch kills a day, 500 with the AK, 300 with the M4, and 200 with other guns. And I would practice the recoil patterns of the AK and M4, something nobody has ever been able to do on Pavlov Shack. It was going to be hard, but I stuck to this for the next 60 days. During these 60 days, I would hop into PCL every now and then to watch Deathwish and Nova play their matches, and to watch the season finals, but that's about it. I also entered myself in the Arctic 1v1 tournament, which I'll go over briefly. Starting September 24th, Arctic made a 1v1 tournament with $5,000 in prizes. I entered and won my first 3 matches, 2 were forfeits, till October 16th. I faced off against Apache. I did what I usually do, and one-up him of course, winning 2-1, and the last game being a 9-9 game, where I won with a single shot of health remaining. Then my next match, I lost sadly, but not for the reason one might think. It was against Boogerer, a relatively good PCL player, but definitely not better than Apache, and definitely not one of the best. I could have won had I been focused on Shack, but on October 15th, I got my PC, and got super addicted to PC Pavlov. Having lost my Shack muscle memory and aim, I went into the 1v1 and got absolutely obliterated on both maps. Not much happened Shack-wise, but with my PC, I have a new world unlocked. The world of Pavlov matchmaking and VR Master League. October 15th. I got my PC and Pavlov, and I'm already grinding it out. I've never played anything past 60 FPS in my life, so this was a huge change seeing graphics and frames like the ones I was getting. Immediately, I want to of course get into the league, which I do pretty quickly. After a single day, I gained the attention of Scuba Steve, the captain of Soulstice, after giving him some trouble in a pub lobby. Soulstice was a very good team, going from being really bad to some of the best. Starting the 17th, I start my tryout, with Scuba Steve seeing how I play and teaching me the PC maps. At the same time, I'm playing PC matchmaking and grinding it out, climbing up the ranks. I achieved my base rank of silver on the 20th of October and gold on the 25th. 3 days later was the 28th. My 60-day cooldown on Shack is over. Too bad it was short-lived, because I got permabanned. Yeah, it sounds abrupt, and it was. And after Season 3 ended, Digital Wraith resigned as league manager, and the new guy, Nilix, was brought on to take his spot. Let's just say Nilix may have read up on my file and played a single pickup with me to find out just how much of a bad actor I was to the community. The ban was complete BS, and being reunited with Deathwish was no longer an option. So I'm on the PC grind 24/7. With my skills increasing rapidly, with my new aim train practices and matchmaking being higher skilled than PCL pickups, I started getting better rapidly, soon achieving the rank of Platinum on November 10th. This was a special achievement for me, because Platinum was this little inside joke for the Shack community that I started. Back when I just started out around early March, I made up an idea of a platinum roll for those who were highly above gold, and yeah, I got made fun of it in PCL. But achieving it in PMM was a big screw you to the Shack players. Anyways, I managed to get the same rank of diamond on the same day I got platinum with a bit of luck, but I lost it really quick because I was not good enough to hold diamond at the time, therefore losing it and going back to platinum for a few weeks. A few days after getting platinum, I was accepted into Soulstice, joining their VREL team for Pavlov and later their VRML team officially. A few weeks later, and a couple of VRL games later, I got my first 30 bomb in matchmaking, a monumental feat at the time for myself. January 10th, I decided to use my current alt account in PCL to start playing pickups again. After playing a few pickups rather undetected, I decided to reveal myself on January 13th, playing a scrim with Divine for the second time on an alt. After performing insanely well, and Divine having a reasonable suspicion, Divine, of course, knew I was Codiak, and I just decided to give it away. I didn't really care that much. My spot in PCL has already been ruined. I don't care about how things are for me in a server I'm banned from anyways. A few minutes after that scrim, I played a pickup where I said I dropped 30 kills as a joke. And somehow, with the skills I had attained over almost a whole year, I dropped 32. The VC after that game was on fire. There was about 20 people, and it was a great time. We all cracked some jokes, had some talks, and it was all good fun. Until tomorrow, the league managers woke up, saw their DMs, and gave me the hammer. It was a fun reunion until I got this DM. Yeah. Apparently I was not banned permanently after being told I was banned permanently. But Vid comes out of nowhere and says it wasn't permanent. I doubt this was the truth. Probably just to keep me from alting again, or something like that. But it's whatever. January 27th. My first finals of any sort of league. VREL. Though the game wasn't much of a challenge, as we went against Downfall on Dust 2 with me, Chuma, Hudson, Vision, and Scuba, we were unstoppable, winning Map 1 10-2. Map 2 was a 10-9 because we swapped out our best roster for our other teammates so they could get a chance to play, but all went fine in the end. I got my Apto Wasp gunstock from winning the VREL tournament, and all was well. Until 3 days later, I achieved the rank of Master in Pavlov matchmaking. A stupid hard and prestigious goal to accomplish, achieved by only 7 players before me. Not much happened after I gained Master until VRML finally started. Our first game was played against Meltdown, which was the remnants of an old team called Narcos. We beat them pretty hard. Our second game was going to be my toughest game played yet. We were set against Wrecked, the best VR team, period. The Wrecked Pavlov team is probably the scariest lineup of any sort of players in any sort of VR game. And even if they were washed from playing other games like Veil, that doesn't really affect them. On February 10th, the game was played, and we lost 2-1. We did win Museum though with an absurd 10-1 score, but losing both Dust 2 and Mirage 10-5, and that was that. On February 18th, I decided to make my return to Shack yet again. This time, with the one, the only, Fortnite fanatic. For a while, I wanted to play Shack matchmaking ever since it released a few weeks prior, but never got the chance. So using an alt I had as a backup if Vitaze was banned, I decided to wait for a good matchmaking queue that wouldn't snitch on me, and I played. This was the first time in many months I got to play Shack again, for real, and I was so happy. Never did I think I'd see the day, and I had a blast. Our team did lose, but not after dropping the first 30 bomb in Shack matchmaking on my first game, just to show how good I've gotten over the past year. It was the perfect send-off to my 1-year Pavlov anniversary. Throughout the creation of this documentary, I forgot a few minor events that had some impact. So before rolling to the final chapter, I'll go over some of these events. Asylum, on March 20th. I was in a PCLVC with a good amount of people, and not much was going on until the mention of getting me on a team was made. While joking around, Maniac, the captain of Asylum, a then gold team, said he'd recruit me. This never happened though, as team rosters were locked at the time, and if you remember, I got banned for the first time on March 21st, just a day after the 20th. So before rosters could unlock, I was never given the chance. The Codiak training server. Being made on April 5th, this server was meant to help train players to become better. Only slight problem with it is the fact that I was only 2 months into the league and considered a newbie, so not a single person took the tips seriously, even though a good amount of the tips shared were very good. The server had some success, but was forced to shut down when I got unbanned from PCL on June 11th on recommendations by Vid because I wasn't skilled enough to have that kind of server. The link to the server will be in the description if anyone is interested in the history. All of what I just said now brings us to today, the present. A lot of stories have an end, but this one doesn't. This could be just the beginning of a future $1 million VR esports professional, or the fall of a determined player who enjoys the small, comforting league of VR as a hobby. Any future can take place. My experience, like many, went no way how I wanted it to. Going from an egotistical and selfish player to a hardworking, determined champion. The non-stop training path, becoming one of the best players in under only a year's time. But at the cost of what? Friends, teams, a reputation? Where I stand today is not what it will be like in the future. I both fear and accept what's going to come, like many should. I could get kicked off Soulstice, unbanned from Shag, win an unknown up-and-coming LAN event. It's all on time to tell now, but I best not stress and let it play out. I'm happy where I am right now. I don't plan on making any mistakes like I've done in the past. But hey, all the fun I've had, friends I've made, and growth I've done, it's been one hell of a journey, and I have no plans of stopping. As of now, I'm still grinding to be as good as Chuma and Vision on PC. That's my final step. Then, I can soon become the best Pavlov player ever. Not just on Shaq, the best ever. And I won't stop there. I want to be the best not just at Pavlov, but VR, beating players like Neuro in terms of aim and Chillstep in terms of brain. But hey, I'm just another player. Everyone's the main character of their own stories, and I'm glad I gotta have mine. I wonder if making this is going to be a mistake or the opposite. I'm gonna make the not so smart decision to leave the comments on and post this video on any media channel I can. Really, it's just been an unbelievable journey. Really taking me away from a boring life of doing nothing but school, friends, and video games. Pavlov was something I could really push my lazy self to do. There's not too much I can ask for, really. Except maybe a redo for the entirety of my time in PCL, pretty much. That was one huge disaster. The place where it all started. If you told pub player Codiak I'd be as good as I am today, I'd most definitely think you were lying. Anyways, it's a boring time right now. The only active league for Pavlov right now, I'm banned from. PC Pavlov is at a bit of a boring point in its time. Esports in general for VR is at a bit of a waiting point, really. Breachers isn't ready for League yet. Veil is not doing so hot. The Fortnite fanatic was caught and shut down. May he rest in peace. And I sit here, waiting for anything to do. Well, thanks for watching this mess. This is the end. Half an hour of your life wasted and a whole month of mine spent on something that's probably just gonna be another meme. Really though, I appreciate it. Until next year, my friends. Goodbye.